Hello and welcome to this week's edition of TN Tuesday. Now I'm going to start this video with a little bit of an apology because this is a little out of sync. If you've been following my channel, you know that on Friday I posted in my Stash Dive Spending Freeze video a little bit of a making of a kit as I found some long forgotten and neglected treasures, went through them with you, made up a little bit of a kit, and then said promptly, I'm off to make a layout, which I did. And you will see that layout on Thursday, where I'm very excited about that layout, in which I say, and now I'm off to use the scraps. Well, here we are 2 days before that video goes up, and I'm using the scraps because basically on Sunday afternoons, I always join my friend Scrapping Amy. She's One Mommy Scrapping here on YouTube, and she does a Facebook Live every Sunday. And the tradition has been that I do my TN Tuesdays while I'm watching her, because I don't need as many supplies and I don't have to concentrate as much as I do when I'm making a layout. So I made this on Sunday. Tuesday is TN day, so it's going up before the layout that precedes it and the video that precedes it. I thought of switching them and putting the layout up today and then putting this, making it a TN Thursday instead. And then I thought, you know what, people are getting used to Tuesday, and I know people are coming to this channel on Tuesdays for the TN Tuesday. So we left it the way it is. So long story short, we are using some lovely scraps, as I tend to always do with my Traveler's Notebook inserts. So this week we are back into the arts. My little beetles here, my love of cozy mysteries, and then the last one I did probably about 3 weeks ago now were a couple of the shows playing spy of my childhood, and I thought I would continue on with that because I had a couple of other photos printed, namely The Saint with Roger Moore that I used to love watching as well, which ran from 1962 to 1969, and probably what got me hooked a little bit on sitcoms, although I confess to today hardly watching sitcoms anymore unless they're British sitcoms, and even the British ones I tend to watch a little bit the older ones, but Andy Griffith got me started on sitcoms. I loved that show, and that ran from 1960 to 1968. So I obviously probably did not watch the first couple of years, I would think, as in 1960 I was only 3 or 3.5, depending on exactly when it started. So I just went, a lot of this is from the Bo Bunny Weekend Market, a very old collection, 2011, 2012, a beautiful collection, great for sort of vintage type photos, a little bit distressed without being overly grunge, beautiful autumn color palette, just lovely. And you'll see on Thursday the layout that I did. I just love the way it came out. So I had some 6x6 papers left over from that project, and I just came here and did my 1/3, 2/3. This is a scrap from something else. I don't think it's from the Bo Bunny, and I just found this scrap. I looked somewhere, there it was, it fit, so perfect. So I just put that down here. And since my photo is a little bit on a rectangle, although it's small, I thought that was just perfect. So the first thing that I did was simply get these scraps put down and map the photo in sort of this peachy cardstock that I had out, and I put that down. So I started with that. Then I had quite a bit of the peach left over, together with this more of a burgundy type This is very, very, very dark brown. It's not actually black, very, very dark brown. So I have these two. And if you first look at that, you say, oh my, that doesn't really look like those colors would go together at all. And with just putting this little strip, which is the reverse side of this down the middle, I think it actually looks kind of cool. Those colors together, who would have thought? So then I used again bits of scraps that I had. I had another piece of this paper, another little bit of this paper, and then some of this just basic lovely golden paper. So I just matted this black and white photo and put that down. So then once I had all of that down, I said, okay, now where do we go from here? And I still had a few scraps of this paper, of this lovely blue and golden paper, the golden paper, and even this burgundy and very, very dark brown. So I just went to get my punches. I took my 2-inch punch out, my 1.5 or 1 3/8, and my 3/4 inch punch. And I punched away. I punched some half circles, some circles, and just finished those little scraps, and then came back to the page and just put them here and there where I thought they would be cute. I love overlapping them. This I find is a fun little cluster of 3, another fun little cluster of 3 facing a different way. Then I really wanted something other under the photo. And I find that all of this just sort of frames the photo. So I just punched and put some glue down and got these lovely little punch tapes. So as you can see, so far this entire layout is basically from scraps from 3 or 4 pieces of 6x6 paper and pretty much nothing else. The Bow Bunny, was this the Bow Bunny or it might have been Jelly Bean Soup? I can't remember which of the two. October Afternoon, I should say. Sticker sheet that I had in that little kit I talked about last week. So I just used those Scrabble type flat stickers for 1960 to 1968. Here I wanted to get 62 to 69. And boy, oh boy, did I have to MacGyver this. This is actually a question mark. And then I added 2 little squares. Now, when you look at it in person, it's really not a very, very good job. And you can tell very easily that that's pretty bad MacGyvering, or that it is MacGyvering anyway. But you know what? From far, and if you're just flipping through the book, your eye will let you know that that is a 2. Even if you have to tilt your head a little bit, or if you have to guess a little bit. But I don't think it could be anything else, so we went with it anyway. And then I just did a tiny little bit of journaling here, which is what I remember mainly from this. The Saint, I don't really need to put too much journaling because it sort of goes along with the journaling that I had on here, which was what I remember most about a lot of these shows, is actually playing spy in the hallways of my apartment building, which I talked about last time. And you can find that video on the playlist, which I will put at the end on that end screen. I'll put the playlist so that you can go find that video if by any chance you missed it. So here I was allowed to stay up on Thursday nights to watch Andy Griffith at 8 p.m. Wow. It was a favorite. And later, so were Mayberry RFD and Matlock. So quite evidently, I love Andy Griffith. I loved Andy Griffith, and I watched those 3 shows religiously. Matlock, I watched so often, and until recently, it was still in syndication when I had cable and TV, and I was still watching it. Loved that show. So got a little bit of the journaling down, and then I thought, well, you know, I'm just going to put a teensy little bit of gold splattering and then a few enamel dots. Now, I haven't tried my lovely Nouveau Drops yet in Traveler's Notebook, so I'm going to have to ask Amy about that and see whether they work well or whether they just, you know, sort of really get too flat. But I finished off here a whole column of enamel dots in a color that matches. And there you have it. So that's this week's edition of TN Tuesday, using up some scraps. This took me all of probably about 20-25 minutes. So it's also, I'm actually putting this up, I think, as well as for TN Tuesday, for the lovely 15-minute creativity challenge we have going over on the Redefine Creative public page, as well as in our Secret Not Secret Kit Club group, because this was the perfect example of taking just a few minutes. And here I wasn't even, I mean, I was chatting and everything at the same time and getting a quick page done and a lovely memory done. Do you watch Netflix, or do you chat with somebody while you're scrapping, or do you need silence? Do you listen to music? Tell me, what do you do when you're scrapping? And I will see you back here next week. Thank you always. I am loving all of the discussion. More and more of you are participating in the comments and saying you're going to start. And my lovely friend Karina got her first spread done in her, for her it's 50 years. She is 10 years younger than me, so it's her story the first 50 years. I'm going to put Karina's Instagram down below. If you don't follow her, go on over. She's also in quite a few of the groups. She's in the Secret Not Secret Kit Club, in the Mercy Tiara Facebook group, and she'll be sharing over there for sure. But I will put the link to her Instagram account. See you next week. Bye.